Join me as I highlight small businesses in the craft industry with interviews on-site at distilleries, breweries, and more. This podcast is all about getting to know the people behind the craft, celebrating their hard work, and of course, having a few samples along the way. Welcome to Crafted Conversations. In this episode, I traveled to Weston, West Virginia to visit the MannCave Distillery and had the pleasure of speaking to the family behind it all. Father and daughter duo Stephen and Kelly Mann joined me for a conversation discussing their business and the unique character a small craft distillery imparts on a distillation process out there in the sticks of West Virginia. Stephen and Kelly were more than gracious, and I really enjoyed my time with them. If you enjoyed this episode and others we've done, I'd appreciate if you follow us on social media and also follow us on your preferred podcast platform. And leave a rating and review. We currently stream on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and others. And soon we'll be doing this show in full video format, so stay tuned. Now let's get to my conversation with MannCave. Cheers. All right, well, Stephen, we're here in, is it Weston, West Virginia?
Yes, this is technically Weston, but we're on the outskirts of Weston, which is literally bordering Jane Lew.
Okay, awesome. Well, the reason why I'm here is I found you online, and there's some small distillery out in the sticks of West Virginia. It's pretty cool to come see your little operation and try out your spirits. So thank you for having me, of course, here in the distillery.
No problem.
So tell me about yourself and how you got into the business.
All right, I work for CISA, Cyber Infrastructure Security Agency. That's my day job. This is kind of my quote-unquote hobby, which takes up most of my life here. Anyway, how I got into this, when I was working at CISA, when I started at CISA, my boss, who was the director at the time, tried some of my homemade whiskey, and he basically finished off the bottle that I took to his house, he and his father. His father chased me out the door for the rest of the bottle. And the next morning, he came into my office, closed the door behind him. I thought I was fired. He says, "You know, you're the best IT person I've got here." He says, "But you need to quit this job and go make that whiskey for a living so I can buy it from you." He said, "That's the best whiskey I've ever had, and I have whiskey from all over the world."
Wow.
So I said, okay. I don't know about quitting my job, but then I came home. I told my wife, I said, "Hey, what do you think about opening a distillery?" And she just about killed me.
Right.
True story. So she hashed it out for a while, and she decided, started looking at the numbers. She couldn't break the numbers. Of course, we didn't know about 90% of the taxes at the time.
Right.
Had we known about the taxes, there was no way in hell we'd have done this. And my daughter can probably vouch for that. So we started building. I already knew where the water was. Water's perfect on this farm. It produces about 110 gallon a minute. And it's one of those things that, I really wanted to do something with the water, but I never really knew what. And then this was a perfect opportunity to use the water.
Right.
So we started developing the water source up on the mountain, and we have pictures and videos on our website to where we hand dug that out.
Cool. And
then it got excavator in there and buried it a couple times. Ultimately, we got the water developed up top, and we started building the distillery and built the distillery in about 2 years.
Cool.
We built everything ourselves. This was a barn where you're sitting here. So we tore the barn down, replaced, and put the big steel building up. And we call it the TARDIS because it looks bigger on the inside than it does on the outside.
Yeah, it does.
It's deceptive because it sits kind of below the road there.
Right.
But 50 by 75 building, 37 feet tall, I think. It's got 3 floors built inside the building here.
Yeah, it's a cool space. Perfect.
But in all that time, we got it all done. We opened up in December 15th, 2018, and we've been working at it ever since. We have 27 international awards.
Wow.
Next year, I expect we will have, how many, Kelly?
25. Wow.
Yeah, another 25.
Good Lord.
Estimate, because if we get what we did this at the SIP Awards this last time, we got 8 awards out of 7 products. So we got a medal on every product, plus we got the Innovation Award on our moonshine, which we didn't even know what an Innovation Award was at the time.
Sure.
So once we got that taken care, we've got that figured out. We say, hey, what's the Innovation Award? Well, apparently it's awarded about 9.7% of distilleries worldwide. And the SIP Awards is really unique because only about 30% of entrants win anything.
Right.
Whereas the World Spirits competition is about 50%.
Yeah, right.
So we did win this. We won all of our products 2 years in a row at the World Spirits competition. And then we just did the SIP Awards. And if we get a similar result this year, we'll also get the Consumer Choice Awards on the 7 products, which would give us 2 awards per product and potentially another innovation award because we have an upcoming product, which I'm not going to tell you what it is because I'll get killed by my daughter right here. But it's very unique and it has a no category at the TTB.
Wow.
So they don't even know how to deal with it right now. It's something new. I guess the last thing that was new was 30 years ago?
Wow. Okay.
So,
well, that's pretty neat.
So we're looking at potentially a new category of liquor.
Paving the way. So this episode was recorded a couple months ago, prior to MannCave releasing this new spirit that Stephen is alluding to. In December, they released Ambrosia, a spirit distilled from West Virginia maple sap. There is so little sugar in unprocessed tree sap that the fermentation process can take months before it's ready for distillation. Now, Stephen claims this spirit category doesn't exist yet, and based on my knowledge and research, this seems to be true. That being said, I hope to visit MannCave again soon and get the full Ambrosia experience. It is really, really unique. They let me try some when I was there before it was bottled, and now that it's out there, it's making some waves in the news in the spirits industry, so stay tuned. What all do you make? What's your...
Okay, currently we make whiskey, vodka, moonshine, gin, and rum.
Okay.
Our bourbon is coming out as soon as I get the labels printed.
Cool.
We have a 4-year bourbon coming out.
Okay, so you just poured the vodka. We just had the vodka. Tell me about the vodka.
The vodka is probably one of our first products. We had the moonshine, the vodka,
and the whiskey.
And the whiskey. Well, the whiskey was 6 months in.
Yeah, and the small barrel whiskeys.
Yeah,
which we
that was
sold
the
out
6 month one. Yeah, it sold out pretty quick. But that was one of the first products we did. Our first iteration of the vodka was not that great, but after we figured out what we did wrong, or my son figured out what we did wrong, we have had gold medals on it pretty much ever since.
Wow.
So that one's got a gold medal to World Spirits Competition, John Barleycorn, and the SIP Awards.
Okay.
So it's very smooth. It's very clean. There's no headache and hangover from anything we make, and that's been across the board. It's kind of one of my requirements because I can't deal with hangovers. Everything on most of the stuff like Jim Beam, Popov vodka, any of those, Patron, all those give me a hangover.
Right. That's just mass produced.
Yeah, and none of my products will give you a hangover. I don't care how much you drink.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. Yeah, that's very good vodka. Is it grain?
That is made from corn, 100% corn.
Wow.
Our mash bill is corn. Everybody's like, well, what else is in it? Corn.
That's good.
And my mash bill is corn. The only thing that's not made out of corn is the rum.
Okay.
And the new one we're coming out with.
Gotcha. Well, part of why I love this too, and I mean that speaks to this, is that you'd mentioned some of the big players, but what makes this special is that you got a little bit more intimate relationship with the craft, right?
Well, we made some mistakes early on. It turned out to be the best thing we ever did. I did the stupidest thing in the world, I thought, and it came out with some of the best liquor I've ever had. So,
story of this entire business, actually.
Really?
I mean, I do experiment. I do test this and that and the other and different ways of doing things. I mean, I've never had formal training in making any kind of distillation. This is all self-taught.
Sure.
And trial by fire. It's my money. So it either works or it doesn't. Hopefully it works. But we've come up with some really good innovations in our process that makes the liquor super smooth.
Okay.
And I've literally gone through an entire bottle of liquor in one night, 750 milliliter, and maybe actually more. And
I think it was about a liter by the end of it. It was about a liter that you had gone through. It was like bottle and a third.
On my own power, I went upstairs and went to bed.
Someone did follow him up the stairs to make sure he didn't fall back down.
Went upstairs, I went to sleep, got up 5 a.m. and I felt great. This was kind of a mistake. You gotta be careful when you do that, because I felt great, had no buzz, nothing. And I went over and I got over to my, Deer Park water bottle and got myself about a 32-ounce thing of water and downed it. And then I proceeded to go out in the car and start driving to work. Yeah, well, that was a mistake. Rehydrated me, and I got my buzz back.
Yep.
I was about 3/4 away at work when it happened. I was like, oh God. I couldn't do anything about it, so I just finished driving to where I was going. It was only another couple miles, but I made it there okay, and I think I had a buzz until like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh my goodness.
I was completely functional. It was just I had a buzz. It was a great day at work.
Yeah, I was gonna say perks
Got a
of the
lot
trade.
done because I really didn't care what anybody said to me.
Phenomenal.
But that was not intended. I was not intending to do that. That was a big mistake, but I know now. Don't do that.
Right.
So the next one I poured you there is the rum.
Okay.
This one has a gold medal at the Sip Awards.
Ooh.
And it is a barrel-aged rum. It's aged in one of our whiskey barrels for about 8 months.
There's a little bit of color there. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a golden rum.
It's a golden rum.
Rum.
It is good.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
That's not alcohol.
It's good.
Wow. Now I forget the laws on rum. Is it all sugar cane or is
That
it
is made from molasses.
molasses? Okay.
Yes. Rum is required to be either a sugar cane. It can be made with some sugar. They frown upon that, but sugar cane is the basis for rum.
I believe the legality says it has to be made from a derivative of sugarcane.
Yes, and
Okay.
A product
table
made
sugar
from
technically
sugarcane.
works, but it makes a very harsh liquor.
Yeah.
It's got a really good, nice flavor to it.
That's
And like I said, everything I make has to be good out of the bottle.
right. Yeah, that's dangerous. I have never been the biggest rum person, but I'm exploring. My palate is widening. But I find places like this, and I'm more of a whiskey guy. But there are a lot of whiskey distilleries out there who are making, gins and vodkas
Well, we haven't gotten
and
to
rums.
you haven't gotten to our whiskey yet.
I know. I'm excited.
I'm warning you, it'll ruin you.
Good.
Because our whiskey is modeled after Macallan Elegantia Scotch, which is duty-free only and not available.
Travel exclusive.
Yes.
Okay.
And the bottle he modeled it after was from 1991.
Yes. And I ended up making something much better.
Oh.
Yes.
Some of my friends are Macallan nuts, so I
Yeah, well, your friends need to come out and visit.
I'll bring them a
And
bottle.
you'll have to tell them. Because you may not want to give them any.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one I have provided you there, that is our moonshine. It is 129 proof. It does not taste as strong as it is.
Okay.
Now, this is a traditional West Virginia moonshine. It is not like your Tennessee garbage. Sorry, Tennessee, your shit's garbage.
I love it. Whoa. You said 129 proof.
129 proof.
You're lying.
No, I am not.
Wow. Is this the same mash that's going in to make your whiskey?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Because this is just your white dog. of a
Everything's
whiskey.
100% corn except for the rum.
Right. Wow. See, yeah, a lot of the craft distillers I've talked to is they swear by their white spirits. They're if you have a good white dog before you put it in a barrel.
Yes.
Yeah, barrel's not gonna make it better.
No,
If
it's not.
crap before you put it in. Oh, that's so unique.
Now this is the one that has the innovation award.
Big fancy trophy that took us like 6
Oh yeah,
months to get.
I could not figure. I didn't. Like I said, when we got that trophy, we were like, "What in the hell is this?"
Right.
Pardon my French.
No.
but what is this? And we had to do research. And she went online and she looked. She goes, "Hey, Dad, that's like 9.7% of the distilleries in the world."
The part that he's omitting here is that I was the one who got the results first.
Yes,
Because I got the email while he was dealing with a customer. I
Ah.
stopped at a gas station because I was on my way back from somewhere. And I called him and I was like, we got awards on everything. And I had just looked surface level. When I got here about 20 minutes later, I looked a little deeper. And the customers got to watch us actually react to this.
Wow.
But as I clicked through, I got to the moonshine one and I looked at it and I was like, there's a second award in here. What's an innovation award? And Dad goes, an innovation award? And I was like, yes. What is it? He goes, I don't know. I said, well, I don't know either. That appears to be the problem. And so I had to actually look through their website to figure out what an innovation award was. And I was like, that's cool. I was like, I wonder how many people got this. And the part that he didn't note here from the little research chunk was that I downloaded every single winner off of their website and put it through like 7 or 8 different Excel formulas to figure out the numbers. And then I was like, 9.69% of everyone?
That's pretty cool.
entered?
That's nuts.
Wow. So what is an innovation award? What does that mean?
It distinguishes our product as innovative, groundbreaking, and unique, which is wild to get on a moonshine.
Yeah, because it's just...
Well, you've tasted it.
It was, and it's phenomenal. But I'm kind of curious. Did they give you any kind of notes or feedback? Or
They didn't give us anything.
We probably could have asked for tasting notes if we wanted them.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is when you have consumer judging like the SIP Awards is,
Right.
it's really hard to get consistent tasting notes because every single consumer is going to have a different kind of feeling, flavor profile that they're picking up because they're not trained in alcohol.
Right.
They don't have tasting
Yeah,
experience.
you have people that sign up and they just basically say, hey, I want to taste this category.
Right.
And these are people that are not in the liquor industry. That's what the SIP Awards is.
Yeah.
Not a single person that's tasting the alcohol is in the liquor industry.
They're not even allowed to be associated with the liquor industry.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So she couldn't be a taster. I couldn't be a taster. You could.
Maybe. I'm probably... I mean, this is an LLC and I do alcohol tasting, so...
You're still not
Adjacent.
affiliated.
Well, I guess that's true.
Yeah, you don't run a business that sells alcohol, produces alcohol, handles alcohol at a high scale. So you do technically qualify.
Well, that's awesome.
But you can't talk about it. That's the thing, is when you're doing the tastings, you can't talk about it. Because that gives it away. But you also wouldn't know what you were trying.
Sequester the jury.
Yep.
That's interesting. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to rack my brain about what would be. I mean, is there a different process that you? I mean, making moonshine is making moonshine. It's a tale as old as time.
There's a different process for everything we make.
Yeah.
It is. Remember that mistake I told you I made early on?
Yep.
The best thing I ever did. It's trade secret.
Gotcha. That's good.
And yes, it does make a difference, as you can see the consistency across all of the products. Everything is smooth. Everything is very tasty, and like I said, no hangover. And I can tell you what gives you the hangover.
Yeah.
No one will tell you in the liquor industry, but I will.
Yeah.
It's the yeast oils within the alcohol.
Sure.
And it's expensive to remove it. It's hard to remove it. And so a lot of people just run it through a charcoal filter so you can't smell it or taste it. And then it makes your stuff taste like you're licking a rock.
Yeah.
That's what a charcoal filter does for you. Absolutely nothing.
That's why you hate Tennessee.
Yeah.
Lincoln County process.
Yeah, whatever. It makes your alcohol
judgmental
taste
about that one.
awful. It has no body to it. I mean, it's one of those things that they have been training people over the last 100 years to accept that kind of garbage, and they shouldn't have to.
Right.
So
Awesome. All right, what's this?
that is gin. That is our first run gin.
Okay.
It is 6 botanicals plus, and one of them is juniper. It has black raspberry in it.
It is
lemon, orange,
legally-
coriander, black raspberry, lemongrass, and juniper.
It is legally considered a modern contemporary gin, which is a lot of fancy words to say that you're not just tasting juniper.
Right.
So if you don't like gins, you're probably like that one.
I was gonna say I'm not a gin person either. But
Yeah, well, this is a little different.
right.
Now, I usually find there is a very, very obvious way to tell which gin people are going to like better. And the question is always to ask what type of wine they prefer. If they like a dry wine, they're gonna like the coriander one a lot better. If they like a sweet wine, they're gonna like the black raspberry one. All 6 botanicals in both products are exactly the same, except for
Slightly different
slightly
quantities.
different amounts.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, this is fantastic. I can tell it's a gin, but it's really good.
It doesn't taste like licking a pine cone.
No, well, that's the thing. See, I was not raised. That sounds like terrible parenting. I was around. My mom loves gin. Family loves gin. It's always been Beefeater or it tastes like pine salt.
Yeah, it tastes like that's a good description of a lot of them.
So, and I understand sometimes in a good Tom Collins, whatever, but this I definitely prefer this, and I also prefer. There's a little color here. Is that just the gin, or is it?
Well, we use a bathtub gin.
Okay.
So if you know the history behind a bathtub gin in the Prohibition, the reason it got called as bathtub gin is they take the alcohol, they dump it in the bathtub, and they throw all the botanicals into the bathtub with it.
That's steep.
and let it steep. And then when they went to have their party, people would literally go into the bathroom and dip the alcohol out of the bathtub.
Right.
But there's a reason they did that. Because if Johnny Law came knocking at the door, somebody ran to the bathroom, they yanked the plug, and they delayed Johnny Law downstairs long enough for that thing to drain. And then there's no evidence. All they had left in the bathtub was a bunch of botanicals.
Right.
And that smelled like alcohol, but there's no alcohol there for them to do anything about. So that's why it was called a bathtub gin. Now we do basically the same thing, except we put ours into basically a tea bag.
Right.
A huge tea bag that we put into a great big stainless steel container. We let it sit in there for as long the time we need to make the flavor the way we want it.
Yeah. And
we pull the tea bag, then we run it through a very fine filter, which is a 0.05 micron.
Wow.
To filter out any of the botanicals that we got left in the alcohol, but it doesn't take the color out. So we leave the color in there. It will fade over time, but it won't affect the flavor. Just don't put our gin into the refrigerator because
the freezer.
The freezer, because the freezer somehow does something to remove the flavor. I don't know why.
Huh.
It freezes out the suspended particles from the botanicals.
And it just
really
makes it taste like
understand
regular
how it
alcohol.
works.
It's crazy.
Wow.
But it's happened to a lot of people. The other issue with putting our products into the freezer is
the
that
caps break.
the corks and the caps are actually held together with a glue.
And the
So
glue
if you
doesn't
freeze
do well
them,
with
it just kind of
the glue
pops
doesn't
off.
do well with the thing for some reason. I don't know why. I've talked to the manufacturer about it, and they're like, I don't know. We changed the glue.
Good Lord.
That's the other thing we got to worry about.
Yeah. Interesting. I didn't know that was a. I've heard of bathtub gin. I didn't know that was still being done in that manner.
It generally is not, because it's harder to do.
Yeah.
And it takes a much
longer.
longer time to do it. Whereas I can run it through the still through a steam basket, be done in one distillation is 5 hours.
Yeah.
But I don't get the body and the flavor.
Right.
Because you don't get that kind of a body and flavor from just running it through a steam basket. It just doesn't happen.
Have you? Was there trial and error there? Did you start with the steam basket and say okay, and then start experimenting, or was it just?
I never liked the steam basket.
Okay.
So the way that we started was this was my fault. I helped design the gin, so I actually started the infusions for all of the different botanicals individually.
Okay.
So the way that we blended it was I literally had 7 different mason jars with little tea bags of botanicals in them to try to get a flavor profile there. And so we kind of blended it from that, and then we were like, wait, this has a funny color. And we were like, well now we've got to commit to that part. So we opted to go through the whole bathtub gin process, even though it takes longer, partly because we just thought the color was really funny. That, and when we talked about whether or not we wanted to use the steam basket, what came up was that we are not a dedicated gin distillery. We don't only make gin.
Right.
The risk we run using the basket is that we get gin through all of our pipes. And so then everything would taste a little bit like gin. It was just easier to do the infusion outside of the still, and I had less risk of it tasting just like juniper.
Yeah, because I've talked to a lot of craft distillers who run into that issue. A lot of them have invested into a separate still, a small 50-gallon still, just for their gin.
Just for their gin, because
reason.
of that, yeah.
And or the steam basket is a lot better to clean the still, because if you put all the botanicals in your pot, you're scraping away life on that still.
You are.
Yes.
So, I mean, that makes sense. I never even thought about the process you're doing on a larger scale than just a bathhouse, but interesting.
Yeah, it's more interesting. It's a better product, I think. You actually can taste all the botanicals. Yeah. There's the second run gin. This one has a little more black raspberry in it.
I can see the color. Yeah.
The first one they all have the same basic botanicals. That one has a little less coriander and a little more black raspberry.
See, I like that one better.
Yep.
For probably the exact reason you described with the wine.
It's the sweet wine, dry wine thing. People are always confused when I ask them. I'm like, well, do you prefer a sweet wine or do you prefer a dry wine? And they're like, oh, well, why? I was like, for some reason, this is what makes sense.
For science.
This is how the science works.
That's very good.
Yeah, that one I like specifically in 3 parts lemonade and 1 part gin. And it's really good. It's a good summer drink.
So all these botanicals and the corn mash, are you doing things local, or how does that work?
Well, some of the botanicals you can't get locally.
Yeah.
Whatever ones I can get locally, I do. Whatever I can't get locally, I can't get locally. It's just the nature of the business.
Yep.
So, yeah, we get local when we can.
Cool. Very cool. Well, that was great. See, and I'm turned more and more on to gin when people have stories like this where you try something out. I found that I've loved a barrel-aged gin. Have you tried experimenting more with?
I have not.
Okay.
I haven't had any barrels to play with, and they're too expensive to ruin one.
Right.
We're currently running the rum through the barrels right now, so that would be why we're not using it for the gin.
Yep.
But I don't know if after the rum it would even be worth it to put the gin in. We are playing with swapping out one of our botanicals, which has resulted in what is effectively a neon green alcohol in a jar upstairs. It's an infusion. I didn't put color in it, but it's a funny color. I don't know what to do about that.
Engine coolant.
I don't know. But it's kind of a weird color.
I have to dilute that one down to an actually drinkable level because I think it's at about 160 right now.
So we are playing with some new botanicals with that, and we have one that's really interesting flavor.
Yeah,
I think it'll go really well in this.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a lady with a local greenhouse.
Oh.
And she offered me a little bit, probably like a little cluster or two just to play with. I stuck some fresh ones in the alcohol just to see what would happen. It's neon green now, but I also dried a bunch of it to see what would happen if I put the dry in, but I haven't done that yet. It's been interesting. We play around with a lot of stuff.
Well, that'd be kind of a cool marketing thing. Just,
Neon
it
green.
would be super funny. I looked at it the first time and I was like, is that green? And I walked over to him and I was like, hey, yo, look at this. Look how funny this looks. He was like, what is in that? And I was like, the leaf? I didn't put anything else in here. We don't use artificial colors here.
right.
Yeah, we don't put anything artificial in anything.
Good.
And we don't basically put a lot of sugar in anything. I mean, the most sugar you found in here is in the next one after that one you're going to try here, which is about a teaspoon of sugar in a bottle.
Wow.
We're very health conscious here because I have more.
I don't like super sweet stuff. It's just
Yeah, I hear you there. Well,
the
alcohol,
other part is our design team is me and him, and I've got a bucket list of food and health allergies just in general. So there's a lot of stuff that I can't tolerate. That means that we're just not making it.
Right.
Problem solved.
That's fair.
That's part of why our cinnamon moonshine doesn't have any sugar in it.
no, I don't want sugar in it. It ruins the flavor.
Yeah.
That and it's
especially
nice.
if you're putting it in other things. You don't want to, you want to be able to add the amount of sugar you want and not get it from your alcohol where you can't control it.
Right.
So the next one I gave you there is our black raspberry. This is the unsweetened version. This is straight black raspberries.
Consequently, it's a little bit of an extract. It may be hard to taste by
And this
itself.
is a vodka?
It is a vodka.
Oh, yeah. Is that considered an infusion, or how does that?
That is an infusion, yes.
Okay.
That is black raspberries put in a tea bag and soaked in the alcohol until it gets the right flavor and color.
Gotcha.
You can tell we use a lot of tea bags in this business.
How did you learn that on your own, or were you self-taught? Did you find out from other industry people who were doing that kind of thing? And how much of that was a trial and error process to learn when to not let
All
it
of it.
steep too long? Yeah. That's fun.
We
That's fun to
we
me.
found out that the cinnamon moonshine is one of those things that if you let it sit in there one day too long, it ruins it.
Wow.
You have to be. It's a very, very fine line between being enough flavor and then turning bitter.
Right.
So we catch it just before it turns bitter. So we keep that maximum flavor, maximum cinnamon in there, but we remove the cinnamon before it turns into that bitter nasty. And it's really hard to do. And towards the end of the time, it's sitting in there, and it could be a difference between a month between batches. I mean, it could be 3 months this time, 4 months this time, 4.5 months next time. But you have to make sure that it doesn't sit in there too long. Because if you let it too short, you don't get enough cinnamon flavor in it. Too long, you get that bitterness. So we're just kind of towing the line on it. You can see the color.
Oh, it's dark.
that gives you. But we'll try that one last because it's too powerful for.
Okay, ruin the palate.
Yeah, you won't be able to taste anything but cinnamon for a while.
Yeah, we didn't make industry friends. We didn't really meet a lot of people in the industry until after we've been open for a while.
Right.
So pretty much all of our innovation is just us. And a lot of it comes from the fact that, like, we know that there's a lot of commercially available syrups and stuff that we could use. We know they're very common. I've been to Tennessee.
But they have the nasty aftertaste. Oh my God.
They aren't pleasant to drink. And for a lot of people, especially people like diabetes and stuff, you can't drink them anyways.
Right.
And I'm semi-allergic to high fructose corn syrup. So we literally can't use it.
Right.
I hate it. I hate high fructose corn syrup. I will not use it.
Yeah.
That's why
If it's
our
not
entire
sugar, I'm
Coke
not
machine
using it.
is sugar sodas. But so all of it has come from, we talk to each other and go, hey, what if we did this? Like, it could be a bad idea, but like, wouldn't it be kind of funny? And then we try things, and then it takes us a little while to go through and figure out like when we should stop the infusion process, when we pull the botanicals, when we figure out like, how do we like this flavor profile versus this flavor profile?
Right.
It's all trial and error here.
That's awesome. I mean, do you think that, it's cliche to say, do you think that helps in the quality of the product? That you are literally, blood, sweat, and tears trying things? I mean, how many batches have you gone through? It's like, well, I'm not selling that. And then you finally get to like batch number 7. It's awesome.
I think I've poured one batch down. Basically had to redistill the whole thing.
Yeah.
Other than that, I've gotten pretty good at judging where I need to stop.
Okay.
So I guess I have some kind of a knack in this. At least my friends and family tell me that I have a knack at making alcohol, and I just kind of know when I need to stop.
Sure.
It's like, this has been in there long enough, and we need to pull it.
Yep.
I think if it sits in more, it's going to do something weird.
Right.
So I've been good at that, and it's been pretty much me that decides when to pull stuff.
Gotcha.
This is the 15th recipe iteration for the whiskey, though. I do want to point that out. There was a lot of trial and error in designing.
And there were
that.
some bad ones.
Believe me, we've had our ups and downs.
Oh my
We've
God.
had situations that went pretty poorly. Recipe
We
number
have to pull
9
that.
needs to be pulled.
Oh, yes, it does.
We just got breaking news right now.
Breaking news, yeah.
I just realized recipe number 9.
It should be done by now. I've been wanting.
Oh, it
I've been meaning
should
to ask
be.
about it.
Okay, this one it happened to be recipe number 9. We look at it as love potion number 9. The old movie.
Yep. Yeah.
We made a whiskey that we added some stuff to it, and I'm not going to tell you right now what it is.
I want to say my reaction first. I walk in the door one day and he hands it to me and he goes, "Try this." And I was like, "What is it?" He goes, "Don't worry about it. Just try it." Which, again, story of my life. Every single product that he has successfully finished, I gotta try this. Don't ask questions. But I tried it. And I was like, "Is this a cream soda?" He was like, "No." I was like, "Are you sure? Because that tastes like cream soda."
So it's a cream whiskey.
Oh.
It literally tastes like cream soda. If it comes out the way we expect it to, it literally tastes like cream soda.
And
What?
hot take,
Yes.
it's dairy free. There's
no
nothing
cream in it.
dairy in it.
How did you get there?
There's a
I
process.
don't know.
I know you can't spread the trade secrets, right?
Sort of, yeah. It does have cinnamon in it,
Okay.
but there's a process to making that cinnamon. It's like a chemical reaction with the cinnamon and the whiskey in certain circumstances. And it doesn't happen immediately. It happens over time. So if this works out the way I expect it to, which I have not gone out and cracked these barrels, so I don't know what I'm getting at this point. So I can't say I can replicate what I did with that bottle that she's talking about.
I will be very upset if he can't, by the way.
I will.
I really liked that
I will
one.
figure it out. My wife basically took the bottles and hid them. Okay, she just said, "Nope, nobody's getting these." So, if this cream whiskey does turn out the way I want it to, I've got the ingredient list and everything, and all the rest of the stuff that is out there done and ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's a matter of, getting it down, bottling it, and putting it out as a cream whiskey. And if it takes off like I think it will, then we'll add that to our lineup. So it's going to be a cream. Actually, it's going to be a cream bourbon.
We've got a whole host of like little things that are going to be limited time and other stuff that we've been marinating on for years.
Yes.
Man.
And there's some neat stuff that we want to do.
I'm sure.
Okay, so next up, is this the right one? No, this is not the right one. This is the
Did you do the first?
Sweetened black raspberry.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the one that has a teaspoon of sugar in it. You wouldn't think a teaspoon of sugar would make a difference.
So this
Teaspoon in the bottle.
is in the bottle itself.
In the bottle.
And this is the same as the previous one, just with the added sugar.
Essentially, yes.
Okay. That's a big difference.
Yeah, it's the difference is basically a teaspoon of sugar between the two bottles.
Yeah.
If you could add a teaspoon of sugar to that one, it would taste the same. But the sugar actually turns that from almost an extract into a flavored
Right.
alcohol.
Interesting.
Still no high fructose corn syrup.
Right. No. So what is it? What kind of sugar?
Cane
is it
sugar.
Just cane. Pure
Same
cane
stuff
sugar?
you buy from Walmart. And you put in your tea and
Sure.
cake mix and whatever. Straight sugar.
Is there any kind of labeling requirement if you add to the bottle itself?
Well, if we add it to the batch,
Yeah.
it comes out to about a teaspoon.
I see. Okay.
We just did a lot of math at the end. We're like, it's about a teaspoon.
You know what my dumb brain did? My dumb brain was like envisioning you on the bottle line with a
No,
teaspoon
no.
in each bottle. That's not what you're doing at all.
That would be really funny.
No, we put
actually.
20 pounds of sugar in a batch of 400 something.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's not a lot of sugar.
It's enough to do something though.
Yes.
Wow.
It just brings out that extract flavor to an actual flavor.
Right. No, that's very good.
All right, so
Very good. And
this
dangerous.
is the one that I know you've been waiting for. And you have been to the bigger ones.
Yep. A nice healthy pour. Thank you.
I think my favorite part about the whiskey is the amount of people I get through here, because I do a lot of the tastings. But I get a lot of people here who go, "Oh, well, I don't like whiskey," and I'm like, "Well, try it.
Yeah, try it.
You may be surprised."
Now this is
And
a
lot
honey
of people
vanilla
are
whiskey.
surprised.
Honey vanilla. Okay.
And it is a
Technically
bourbon,
a bourbon.
technically. I just haven't changed the label.
Okay.
I have the label ready.
You have the label ready for the next one.
Ooh.
This one will ruin you.
What's going on there?
You tell me.
That's like
I've had $2,000 a bottle whiskey that doesn't taste as good.
it's super honey sweet. That is beyond unique. Wow. What's the proof on that?
80.
80. That's also dangerous.
It doesn't have a lot of honey in it.
No.
It's not like you like the stuff you get on that's syrupy honey.
Right.
It's just a hint of honey in it. Very full body of the liquor.
It's sweet enough that actually we have a lot of women who really like it, but it's
And you also
just
notice that
dry
it
enough
doesn't.
to
There's
where
no.
everyone else
There's
likes
no
it too.
stickiness to your palate. You don't have anything that is sticking to your palate.
No.
It's clean.
It's a very clean and it's an effervescent finish.
Yep,
It
and it
goes
just
away.
disappears. And then you're like, damn, I want some more of that.
Yeah. But it doesn't dry your mouth.
No, that's the honey.
It's very pleasant. It's the honey and vanilla obviously shine through, but there's a little bit of a spice to it too.
That's
just the barrel and the
And
liquor.
that's just the wood notes.
Yep. This one's got a really good story to it.
And how long has this been aged?
That one's 3 years.
3 years. Wow. Was that a trial and error? Did you find?
We had, like I said, 15 iterations of our whiskey before I even opened the distillery.
Okay.
I worked on that. That was the reason that we opened the distillery, is because of the whiskey.
It's
Yeah.
it's a good 4 or 5 years of trial and error on just the whiskey.
Gotcha.
But like I said, I couldn't get the Macallan Elegantia anymore because 1991. It's about $2,000 a bottle now.
Yeah.
I have 34 bottles of it sitting at the house in boxes, unopened,
Oh my goodness.
Collecting dust.
untouched, collecting dust in
They
a
haven't
cabinet.
been moved in the last 4 years.
It's a good
minimum.
investment.
So
Well, I'm going to be selling those. If anybody wants some of those bottles, let me know, because I have a lot of them, and I can use the money.
Well, I know someone who wants one. One of my associate producers Nick, he loves his
it's the blue box.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, he's gonna lose his mind.
I've got like 34 or 36 bottles.
I think it's 36 unless you sold 2 in the last month.
No, I sold 1 bottle to Adam, I think.
35.
35 then.
Wow. Well, I like that a lot. I'm a little speechless because it doesn't. This is 100% corn.
Yes.
It doesn't taste like that, and not in a bad way. Because I've had corn whiskey, right?
Yeah.
Corn whiskey is pretty run of the mill.
Now you do realize that the moonshine you tried earlier
It's the same,
is the actual corn, the base for this whiskey.
right?
The only difference is it's been in a barrel and it's got honey and vanilla in the barrel with it.
Gotcha. So is it? You're adding actual honey and vanilla into
Yes.
the barrel to mingle
Yes, I am.
with. Okay.
So it's actually the amount of honey that goes in the barrel. Some of it soaks into the wood. Some of it goes into the alcohol.
Yep.
And then the vanilla, actually, we use actual vanilla beans. We're talking, the damn vanilla beans are expensive. We
They're
probably
a pain in the
add
butt to cut up.
$100 in vanilla beans to a barrel
Sure.
just to get a really good body of the vanilla.
Yeah.
And it is, for a lot of people, it is very much in the style of like an Irish whiskey or a Scotch. So people will taste that and they'll say, well, this reminds me of an Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
Because it's generally styled like one.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is modeled after Macallan Elegantia Scotch, and it is of that quality or better. I've actually had people, Macallan 25-year-old Scotch.
Mhm.
I have had a blind taste testing where I poured both. This one got picked every time. It's like, oh, this is the good one. This is the expensive one. It's like, nope, that's mine.
Well, there's something to be said about that.
Want some more?
I would love some. You're my hero right now. That's so a testament to a small craft distillery, family run, has an idea, does some stuff, and makes a good whiskey. I love that. And what are you selling the bottle for?
About 40.
$40.
42.
42.
40. Yeah. I mean,
And we know we're low on the price, but we're trying to get it out there.
sure.
It's not going to stay that low forever.
Well, and nor should it. Well, maybe if the economy gets better, but as gas prices go up, so does your whiskey.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, we haven't raised our prices as much as we probably should be. But again, we're just getting established.
100%. Yeah, that's fun. And you said you're also aging bourbon.
Yes, I have the bourbon ready to bottle. It's actually in the tote right over there, straight down there.
Okay.
4-year is ready to bottle. I just have to get the labels and bottle it, and then we'll have the 4-year bourbon out.
And is that the same as this minus the honey and vanilla?
No,
Oh, no, it's exactly
it's got the
same.
honey
It's
vanilla.
just
in
been
it.
aging
It's
longer.
it's literally the same, but it's a much longer age.
Oh.
It's a year older,
Okay.
and it's smoother. And actually, we can pull some of that, and you can try it.
That'd be fantastic. I won't say no to that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Just put some in a cup.
So I know we still have the cinnamon to go through, but
Yes.
is this your creme de la creme? Is this your baby?
That's one of them.
Okay.
I mean, I actually have one of these sitting on my bedstand, and this is pretty much what I'll sip on when I'm going to bed, or
Right.
if I've had a long day, I'll pour myself 2 ounces, have a shot, watch TV, whatever.
Yep.
It's this one, and I'll do the cinnamon also. The cinnamon, I'll take that one and I'll put it in a little bottle and then add sugar and shake it up until the sugar stops dissolving.
Uh-huh.
You ever had an atomic fireball?
Yeah.
That's what it tastes like.
Really?
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. So those are the two that I'll sit up there and enjoy. My wife, the whiskey's her go-to.
Yeah.
Kate, which was pretty funny because she grabbed a black raspberry the other day and she's like, I got a whiskey. I said, I saw you with a black raspberry. She goes, it was a whiskey. And she went up the next night and she looked at the bottle and she's like, damn it, it's a black raspberry.
Have you? So while she's grabbing that, have you experimented or thought about going more into like bottled and bond or finishes with wine casks? Or
We're
any
not
of
that big.
Yeah.
Once we get a little bigger, maybe.
Okay.
Getting a hold of wine casks is too hard. Personal preference. I don't want to deal with that. I don't know how much I trust other people's alcohol.
Yeah, that's the other problem.
That's a good point.
You get some stuff in there that you don't want. And our standards are pretty high. We don't want anything artificial. We don't want to contaminate our alcohol. You'll notice that our bottles, they tend to have the water droplets in here.
Yep.
That's because the water is so pure in there that it wants to evaporate really quickly.
Ah,
We use actually RO water to dilute our alcohol down.
really?
So there's nothing in that water. So you have pure water and you have the alcohol. They generally don't do that in most products. They use like the tap water.
Right.
But we use RO water to top off our bottles, which also gives it that condensation in the top of the bottle. It's not because it's diluted down or anything like that. It's because the water is so pure it wants to evaporate.
I've never heard of that before. That's amazing. That makes so much sense.
Yeah. As for like the bottled and bond thing, I think if I'm remembering right, the qualifications for that
before you finish
are
that,
like, what was it?
That's our 4-year.
Distilled by one distiller in one season, and then stored in a federally bonded barrel house and something like that. Really don't know how you track
The
that.
look on
first of
his
all.
face was priceless.
I'm sorry. You're talking about stuff, and I'm drinking whiskey.
Yeah, no, this happens a lot. I'm familiar with this.
That's
Okay, first
special.
reactions on our 4-year bourbon
Pre-release.
pre-release.
Yeah. The general tasting notes of the whiskey is the same, but it's much more mellow,
Yes.
and it has a lot more of that wood sugar flavor,
Yes.
and there's a bit of a tobacco leathery note that I'm getting.
Yep. That's all barrel.
Oh, it's so good. That's so good. The color's not too much different.
The color is very similar, but the flavor is a world's difference.
Flavor is
The color actually, I think, is a little bit darker on the 4.
It's a
You
little
don't
bit.
see it in
A
the
little bit,
kind
yeah.
of trace amounts that you have, but it is very slightly darker. Not enough to be particularly noticeable, but the smell is very different.
yeah. The nose is much more honey forward. The other one I got a lot more vanilla and whiskey traditional, but the corn sweetness. But this is very, very honeyed on the nose, but barrel toasted
Yes.
caramel, a little bit toffee there. Oh man, this is phenomenal. It's a good side by side. It's
Yes.
a good party trick.
Yep. So it gives you an idea of how we're progressing.
Mhm.
And as we get older, this liquor is going to get older and older and older and have more and more story behind it.
Yeah.
So, once we get to like 5, 6, 7-year whiskeys, it's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah. Oh man.
I mean, we're almost reaching having 5-year
5-year
right
will
now.
be
Yeah.
we'll have 5-year in April or May.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it'll be 5 years old because we'll be 5 years old in December 15th.
Okay. Cool.
So April, May, June timeframe is when the barrels will get to 5-year, and I probably will not pull them until
January of the next
January,
year.
for the simple fact that we filter our whiskey by literally putting it outside when it's
Sub-zero temperatures.
when it's 0 degrees until it literally freezes, and then we'll run it through our filter because we don't have a chiller.
So that's your chill filtration.
That's our chill filtration. We set it outside until it freezes.
no shit.
No shit. It's a poor man's filtration system.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Then we'll bring it in, we'll run it through the filter, and then we can bottle it. But our chill filtration is Mother Nature.
Wow.
So
And Mother
that's-
Nature is very opinionated on when she chooses to
Yes,
do
it
these
is.
things.
and it's generally in January.
Yeah. That was gonna be one of my questions too. Is that part of? I love you.
I just handed him another glass with some whiskey in it.
But one of my questions was going to be about, as a small craft operation. This is yours. If you tomorrow want to wake up and you're like, you know what, I'm going to put gin in a vodka raspberry barrel and age it with rum. You can do that. It might be terrible, but you can do that.
I can.
Those experimentations and those playing around, that long leash that you have, probably limited to you and your wife, maybe your daughter sometimes too.
Yeah. She's
I've got a
She's a
coffee
bad
vodka
influence.
somewhere upstairs.
but
Okay.
she's technically a whiskey
Associate whiskey taster. I'm looking at doing the
Whiskey
bourbon
professor?
steward
Yeah.
through, what was it? Thief and Stave, I think
Oh, yeah,
it
Thief and
was.
Stave, yeah.
Looking at doing the bourbon stewardship through that
Okay.
because
and what really
I
disgusted her
went
about the
through-
whole class setup was
yeah.
The
no
Whiskey
hate on the
University-
university. Don't call them out like this. No hate on them, but I went through 6 of their classes, and
It was like a
so
propaganda
much,
push.
There was so much focus on just the big distilleries and their contributions and efforts in prohibition and pre-prohibition. And I'm like, well, where's the focus on the actual product, the things that are important in making a good product, what really matters
that wasn't there, and
I
it
just
was
wasn't
missing.
getting that.
Okay.
And I went through the classes, and I was like, I would not pay $300 to take 20 more of these classes.
Yeah, I've always been curious what gimmicks are out there. I know because Whiskey Tribe does it.
It was more of a, hey, Jim Beam did this, Jack Daniels did this, and it's like, that's not the kind of information I would expect from a quote unquote university.
Right.
I would expect, this is the qualities that make a good whiskey. This is how these distilleries are making these whiskeys and things like that, instead of a propaganda course on.
I was not thrilled about spending at least an hour every single class just talking about the founder of one particular brand or the story of one particular brand,
which is not necessarily accurate.
Yeah. It's like more of a history lesson.
It is.
Yeah,
it was
is.
very much a history lesson, and it was just. I mean, the classes went over like Jack Daniels and how they got the Lincoln County process coded into law, and then how that affected the other distilleries trying to make a Tennessee whiskey. And then the one exception to the
There was
rule
a lot
because
of-
they predated the rule.
Right.
We paid lawmakers to do this for
There was
us.
a lot of subnotes of the lobbying, the way that they were playing the rules, the way that they
The
were
payoffs.
creating the rules.
Let's be
to
real.
benefit
It's
them.
all payoffs.
Well, I mean, and I know Sips and San Francisco Spirits Awards are one of the two of the few that don't. I mean, there's a lot of awards out there. You can just send a check with your whiskey and like give me an award, and they send you an award and you get a plaque.
Yeah, well, World Spirits Award Competition is not one of those. And
Right.
neither is SIP Awards.
Right, I was gonna
SIP
say.
Awards is bad. It's hard to get an award there.
Right,
And we got awards on everything on our first try.
and it gives you credibility because of it.
Yeah.
If you
And
go,
we're
to
going to do
some-
it again.
You as you should. You deserve it.
Yeah, we went to a trade show in late September, and obviously it's brands that are selling into West Virginia. It's the West Virginia State Trade Show.
Sure.
Obviously it's a closed event specifically for the liquor store owners and the producers and whatever. So going there, I actually looked around, and I made rounds a bunch of times because I like to talk to people.
She's a squirrel.
I am a squirrel. I picked up a lot of things. I love picking things up. But I make friends with a lot of the people around us. So I was getting there and I was looking at them, and there were only 2 brands there who were showcasing SIP Award wins in the
Okay.
entire place. And they had the entire
3, 'cause
Diageo
we were
lineup.
there.
Oh yeah, and us, obviously. But I don't count us because obviously we're showcasing our awards.
Yeah.
But the 2 that I saw, one of them was a Japanese ocean-aged whiskey.
And that got an innovation award
That had an
in
innovation
2020.
award in 2020. And that was, I
That
think,
was the only one.
only other innovation award I'd ever personally seen.
You aged it at sea.
They
Yeah.
aged it in the
And we
ocean.
got it on our moonshine, which baffles me. How do
Yeah.
you get an innovation
every
award
time
on
I talk about this, I'm like, an innovation
moonshine.
award on like the most well-known American product.
Yeah.
Moonshine.
I don't know. I want to know. But
So do
that's-
I.
That's wild.
If you find out, let us know.
Now you want to show you something interesting about our bottles. Each one of these bottles has something on the side of them, a little blurb that I've put on them.
We kind of have fun with these.
Yeah, we do have some fun
I
with
was the
these.
first person to catch the blurb on this one. I believe it's the other side.
No, that's right. He's got it.
Oh no, I guess
So
it was
this
that side.
is just your moonshine.
Yes.
Yep.
And it says, "The pure heart of the West Virginia mountains. This is the private stash that the moonshiners keep for themselves in true man cave fashion.
Read that again because
try
you screwed
word
that up.
again.
The pure heart of the West Virginia mountains. This is the private stash that the moonshiners keep
Ah.
for
The what?
Read that again. Just the one word.
moonshiners.
Moonshineers.
Moonshineers.
Mountaineers.
Okay.
We had a
Jesus.
very little, very subtle call
Like tricking
out.
my eyes.
Hi,
A
it
lot
says
of people-
moonshineers.
yeah, a lot of
I'm
people
not that
actually
old.
overlooked that, but I caught it the first time I read it, and I was like, "Did you mean to do this?" He goes, "Not at first, but now I do."
Oh, I went to school, I swear. All right. I'm going to do it again. The pure heart of the West Virginia mountains. This is the private stash that the moonshineers keep for themselves in the true man cave fashion.
So it's kind of a throwback to West Virginia University, which is where I went.
Okay.
And where my brother currently goes.
Yes. Each one has a different saying on the side of the bottle.
That's cool. I'm not going to read through all of them.
No, but
I love that. Mann is your last name.
yes.
MANN.
MANN, correct.
Where did MannCave come from?
Do you see the cave?
Yes, on the
That
the
is
bottle.
where the water comes from.
Ah, you said that earlier. Okay.
There is 2 caves up on the mountain. Both of them in the back of the caves. They hit a water vein, and it is an artesian spring.
Okay.
There's actually a third one up there, but I haven't found it yet, and I don't have the money to dig for it right now. So
I don't have the time to dig.
I don't have the time,
sir.
but once we get some actual money, then we can go up there and dig for the third one and get it opened up. But it's a water vein that we dug into, that they dug into, and it ended up closing those hand-dug mines. So when we opened up the mines, they were full of water. We flooded the valley when we cracked them open because it was about 500 feet of basically a 5-foot diameter mine shaft going about 500 feet into the mountain that we opened up in one time, and it flooded the whole valley down here.
For anyone trying to do the math, it was a lot of water.
Yes, a buttload of water. But yeah, and these springs have never gone dry in living memory. So in the last big drought, which everything dried up, including the rivers, this was the only water running in the county.
Wow.
So, so I'm not worried about the water stopping or anything.
Sure.
Because it never has in the last 100 years that I know of.
And how far away is that from here?
About 1,500 feet up the hill. It's up almost at the top of the hill up here.
Okay.
And about 100 feet in elevation above the distillery. So it comes down here at gravity feed and goes into the water filtration system back here, which we have a couple of booster pumps that boost the pressure from 40 pounds, which is gravity feed, to about 65 pounds.
Okay.
And then it goes through our filtration system, goes through one set takes out the iron in the water, next set takes out is carbon filtration, and the last set is water softeners. And then what goes in the alcohol goes to additional step, which goes into the RO system, which is that big 2,000 gallon tank right there.
I see.
And that's 2,000 gallons of RO water we use for cleaning the still and for bottling.
Wow.
So we have extensive water cleaning.
Yeah.
to say the least.
That's neat that you have it though, like right in your backyard.
Yep.
You know, just part of the nature. I
Yep.
love it. All right, so the last is the cinnamon bomb.
Last is our cinnamon moonshine. Now this has 2 gold medals and a double gold medal. Double gold at the World Spirits Competition, a gold at the World Spirits Competition, and a gold at the SIP Awards. And it is true cinnamon. It is nothing like you've ever had. We were actually the ones, once we did this, next thing we knew, we saw cinnamon and moonshine coming out from everywhere. And the other thing is our black raspberry gin. So some company in Canada decided they were going to make black raspberry gin after we made it and got awards at the SIP Awards and the World Spirits Competition. So we are setting standards, whether people realize it or not. We're
Right.
just a little tiny podunk, distillery, but we're actually setting world spirits changes.
Yeah. Oh, have you found it? I mean, you've been around since 2018.
Yes, December 15th, 2018. So basically 2019 is when these
Yeah.
15 days of 2018.
Have you found that your name is getting more notoriety in the spirits world? Because the market might be different
Yes.
because the market is weird, but the spirits
Market is
industry
weird, but as
itself-
we get more known, we do have a big following. Everyone who pretty much comes out here comes back.
Okay.
We have people to come from out of state religiously every year.
Okay.
When they come through West Virginia, they stop here and they pick up alcohol. It's like, well, I ran out of alcohol. I need to pick up some more. I like to hear that people are actually drinking our alcohol. Alcohol is not meant to be sitting on your shelf and stagnating for 55 years.
Like those 36 bottles that you have?
Yeah. Those are more an investment at this point.
Just giving you shit.
But you know what? I bought them because I was drinking that a lot. And then I made my own and found out I like mine better.
That's fair.
What can I say?
That's fair.
But they're selling for like $1,700 a bottle right now online.
1909.
$1,900 a bottle. Thank you. My daughter changed. Every year it goes up another $200-$300.
It'll continue to go up. The
Yeah.
market is dumb. You can buy a brand new Buffalo Trace $35 bourbon right now and sell it for $75 in the secondary market. It's
You could,
insane.
yes.
You could.
What
But
do you want?
somebody wants to come buy my 36 bottles, come talk to me. I have them for sale.
All right,
But they ain't cheap.
Cinnamon moonshine.
Yes.
First of all, it smells like
Cinnamon.
Christmas.
Yes.
It
yeah.
smells like cinnamon. We have people that use this for making shrimp scampi. We have people use cooking.
Oh.
I had a lady demolish an entire bottle using it for nothing but baking. And then she had to come in and get another bottle because she ran out. Absolute delight of a lady.
That would be good, like in a, have you ever had like a bourbon ball?
Yep.
Or a rum ball?
Yeah, I have
That-
a recipe for one that I need to try with ours now because I saw the recipe and I was like, well, my aunt made one last year. I didn't try it, but I bet I could do better.
And you could use it for icing. You make a cinnamon,
Yeah.
alcoholic cinnamon icing
It's like
on cake.
cinnamon.
We need to do that
I had
for Thanksgiving.
I've got a German spice cake recipe.
How about white cake with cinnamon icing?
That's no fun.
I like it though.
That's
I'm gonna put it in the tomato cake just to know you.
Oh, good God. She found a recipe for some kind of tomato soup cake or something.
That
Don't
sounds-
even go there.
I think they're so funny. I like to look at these and sometimes I like to experiment with them, mostly because it upsets him, but sometimes it turns out really well. Like I have a chocolate whiskey pie recipe that he gets mad at me for not
Now
making.
take what's left of that and drop it into the bourbon and then try it.
doing magic on me.
Oh, absolutely.
That's about all you need.
Potion making.
So, I will say before I try this, that cinnamon moonshine by itself is probably the best cinnamon flavored thing I've had. There's a lot of cinnamon things on the market taste like
They're very sweet.
Chemical.
Yes.
chemical. I was going to say synthetic.
Yes.
Chemical.
That is real. That is real cinnamon, a pound per gallon. Cinnamon chips.
Okay.
That is not a flavoring. That is cinnamon chips.
Wow.
I don't play around with artificial garbage.
No, I love that. That's
All of our stuff is infusions.
And the infusions are really hard to do because we've tried peaches. We don't get any flavor out of them.
right.
We've tried apples. We don't get any flavor out of them. The black raspberry works great. We haven't tried blackberry yet, but we may do that.
Mhm.
Well, we're looking for things that will actually give you good flavor in the alcohol.
Right.
So we've had several experiments that were basically, no, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
So it's the process. We could go and get flavoring and do that, but that's not how we want to roll.
No.
So
I think that's a testament to your credibility as a whiskey maker, as a spirit maker, that you care about that.
Yep.
That quality. Well, this has been an awesome experience. Tell me, before we get off of this, what are some things we can look forward to from Man Cave? Because you guys have already alluded to all the awards you've gotten, all the things you have, your bourbon that's going to be coming out pretty soon. Is there anything that we can look forward to in the next couple of years that is going to set Man Cave on the map? Because I'm a fan now. I'm going to come. I'm from Wisconsin, so
Yeah.
I'm going to figure out a way when I'm leaving Virginia to stop by West Virginia every
That's
time.
what my cousin does, who also
Oh.
lives in Wisconsin. So pretty soon we're hoping to have our little mystery product bottled and ready to go because we did just enter it into another award competition. Hoping to enter that into 2. We'll see how that goes.
we'll also enter it into the SIP Awards.
Yes, so we're entering it in the SIP Awards
And then,
a
we
secret
expect another
competition
innovation
I wanna
award
make it-
because it's a new liquor.
Innovation.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm keeping the other award a secret for now
Okay.
because I like it to be a surprise for people when we come out to say that we've entered this competition. Partly because I've been watching some other distilleries here enter competitions the year after us.
Yes, it's pretty funny.
It's
We've been kind of setting the precedent for West Virginia.
I saw a news article that specifically called out our wins as for being the motivation for this other distillery to enter.
Which is
So,
great. We
It's
loved it.
wonderful.
We love them.
We're very supportive.
Yeah.
But I want to keep it a secret.
She's funny.
Just for fun. So we're hoping to get that entered. We're coming out with the 4-year bourbon. We've been playing with a different industry because we've never learned what our lane is, and we never will apparently. So you can actually see it over there.
That's another one we got to try. Let him try.
We've been fermenting mead for the last 6
You're
months.
doing mead.
We're
Oh,
looking
I
at
love
mead.
mead.
We're
Yes.
looking at some areas, looking to expand. We're hoping to come out with that in the next 5 years or so.
Okay.
No promises on when that happens. We're solidifying the recipe, but I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Well, you just teed me up, so I'm
Okay,
gonna
so
Yeah.
the mead,
Yeah.
we're looking for a place to make that. Now, that is a traditional, semi-traditional Viking mead.
There is 2 things in it: honey and water.
That's just a honey mead.
Yes, it is a honey
tell we
mead.
like honey in this business.
Well, that's good.
Well, that right there is made from literal Costco honey.
Cool.
And it has a special yeast that I've added to it. And it's fermented for about 5 months
Okay.
and aged for another 3 months. So it takes about 8 months to make that.
Yeah.
And you can taste it's about 30 proof. That right there will knock you on your butt.
Oh, yeah, you can't. It tastes like.
And you can
I mean-
drink that all day long. And it'd be like, I made the mistake of taking a 16-ounce glass and I was just like drinking it. Next thing I know, I was like, wait a minute, what happened?
It's like you have like 5 IPAs in one day. You're like, I'm
Yeah.
just drinking beer.
My sister can't get enough of that. My family is like, you need to make this. So we can't make it here according to state law. So we have to find another place to actually make that. That's the reason we have not started producing that. But I do have the means and the capability to do that. And we will be doing that at some point.
You can't make mead because of state law.
Yes.
Well,
We're not in
okay,
this building.
We can't make it in here because while
I'd have to build another building.
Yeah, while someone can actually have, as a recent development, somebody now who works in a liquor industry, alcohol industry, can hold a secondary license for a different part of the liquor industry. So as distillers, we could also hold a winery license. The only problem is we can't have it share the same space. So
even
while
though I could
we
make that
would
in
love
here,
to
I'm
just
not
do
allowed.
that in this room, we actually can't. We'd have to build a secondary area for it to have a literal line of separation.
And we can't have the
between
same
two
tasting room.
businesses.
It's so backwards.
It is.
It's remnants of the Prohibition era.
It is.
That's because we never moved past Prohibition. I mean, for a while, up until like 2 years ago, you still couldn't sell on Sundays in West Virginia. You couldn't sell alcohol at all. No beer, no wine, no liquor. Not at all.
Good Lord.
I think we only recently made all of our dry counties wet. I think we still have probably a couple dry cities.
Sure.
Last I checked. Obviously we're still, for the most part, it's a little bit frowned upon to sell on religious holidays, Christmas, Easter. What was it? There's another one I don't remember. But I know Christmas and Easter, you're not really like, they kind of don't want you selling on them.
Right.
We're not open Christmas and Easter, so forget it.
Yeah, not doing that.
Yeah.
But there's a law in the state constitution. Oh my god, I love this one. Section 6, Article 46 says, I quote this all the time. Says you can't sell. It prohibits the sale for consumption, or alcohol, intoxicating alcohols for this sale for consumption in a public place or saloon. Essentially what that means is you can't sell alcohol that someone could drink in a public place. You can't sell it for people to drink. That means that every single state or every single bar, club in this state is considered a private establishment.
Okay.
Additionally, that means that we legally are not allowed to charge for tastings because that would make us a saloon.
And saloons are illegal in
And
West
that's
Virginia.
so illegal by the state constitution, there isn't a way around it. That also means that technically speaking, wine and beer in the state of West Virginia are considered non-intoxicating alcohols in order to allow them
To
to be
get around this law.
served in the state of West Virginia. Welcome to the state constitution. We have a lot of fun
And
here.
you thought Virginia was bad.
Yeah, well, let's just say government in general is bad.
And I believe
Lord.
the intoxicating alcohol limits are 14.2% for wine and something around 5 to 7% for beer.
Yeah, those are relics of the past. They just haven't changed them, and it impedes small businesses.
It does.
I mean,
And the tax on a bottle of liquor is about 70%.
really,
Just so you know. That's all tax before you even get to the sales tax.
We really do love the state here.
It's
Good-
okay,
good
so
recovery.
so the state gets 32% plus about $4 or $5 from us.
Right.
And then when the state goes and transfers it to a liquor store, they tack on another 30% or more.
I believe it's 31%.
30, roughly, it's between 30 and 35%.
Yeah.
And then you get to the sales tax,
Which is
on the liquor, which is 12% in this
It's
state?
like 7.
6
and
plus
then
5.
6, 11%.
11%.
And
then
that's,
you
that's
have
your state sales tax.
And then if
your
you're in a
municipal.
town and you're going to have another 1%, so you're talking about 12% tax that you're paying on top of that. So we get about less than $10 a bottle.
And then we have the really fun part where the liquor stores are entitled to 2% of our gross sales.
Yes, in West Virginia, they get 2% of our gross sales here at the distillery because they have quantified the extortion of our business into law.
It is, and I quote, I believe, for the privilege of being able to sell our own alcohol from our own establishment.
Yes.
As of what
And
was
it
it,
was
like 10 years ago, you
10%.
couldn't do that. Yeah,
No, it was 10%.
it was 10%.
10% of gross. It's been whittled down to 2%, but it's still state-sponsored extortion.
Of course.
We did point blank ask them why it was gross sales and not profit, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
gross
she
sales.
felt a little bad about that part.
She's
but
like,
she hasn't changed.
Is it
yet.
really? I was like, yes, it is.
I could almost guarantee
That's
you.
gross, not net. It should be 2% of net. I understand that. But
Well,
2% of gross? That's ridiculous.
I could guarantee you that most people who are working in the state legislature today have no idea the nitty gritty, deep down part.
It's okay. That's why they deal with me.
As well.
Nothing like a 21-year-old going into the
I'm 22.
Okay, 22 now, but you were 21 at the time.
I was.
Going in there and giving the legislature all kinds of help.
Good.
And tearing them apart.
It's
for
really
you.
fun when I quote their own demographic numbers at them.
And they don't even know it. You
No,
probably
they
know more
didn't.
than they do.
But they were stunned.
Jesus. Well,
Anyways, we don't get invited to the meetings anymore.
well, I will say to both of you, thank you for having me here. This has been an awesome showcase of what a small craft operation who cares about their product and the quality of what's going into their product can do. I mean, all the awards speak for themselves. And I'm excited to share some of your whiskey and other products with my friends. Let them know that you're here. I'm appreciative. So thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure. And what better way to do it than in the distillery itself?
Yeah.
So cheers to both of you.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd appreciate it if you left us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. The more reviews, the easier we are to find. Also, if you aren't already, be sure to follow us on social media so you never miss any of our updates. Be sure to share this episode with your friends, and always be sure to drink responsibly. There are quite literally thousands of distilleries, so we're just getting started. Stay tuned for more conversations with master distillers, distillery owners, mixologists, and even bar owners, and more. Cheers.